What's up, community? It's Rafi here. Let's have a chat. So let's talk about transmasculinity. I want to share what it is for me and my feelings about it. By no means it's a representation of what everyone experiences or how everyone sees it. So let's just dive right into it, right? For the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna use a binary line in which woman and man are in the opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So when it comes to my gender expression, I want to bring that bar very close to the man. And that's the reason why I'm scheduled for top surgery and for hormone therapy. Yay! But that doesn't mean that at my core identity, I identify with what being a man means, right? So my gender identity, how I truly feel inside, which is different from my gender expression, is non-binary, meaning I don't identify with either, but in my soul, which is another different category, I am definitely a woman. So I completely identify with the struggles of being a woman, my identity politics as woman, and so on. And as an activist, I actually work every day to literally smash patriarchy, which is a system that it's ruled by men. Basically, I want to look masculine, and in a just and fair world, people wouldn't just assume I'm a guy, right? There's nothing about being a man that turns me on. In fact, socially speaking, emphasis on socially speaking, what is glorified and encouraged about being a man? Power, dominion, and violence, right? All things which I fiercely reject. So I want to clarify that I'm talking about systems and cultures here, not individuals, right? To quote my partner on this, yes, all men, but not every man hashtag. Yeah. So why the hell would I want to look like a man? Well, simply put, because the only aspect of masculinity that I strongly identify with are physical traits. And those traits don't shape my core identity, but they are still part of who I am, if that makes sense. Is it complicated or confusing? Believe me, it was a bit for me too, right? But now it's pretty clear, and it's finally, I can just wrap my head around it. So what are some of the feelings and fears that come with transmasculinity for me personally, right? So one of the biggest ones is being banned from women's spaces. Rightfully so, there has always been a lot of talk about trans women being banned from women's spaces, which is completely messed up. But I haven't heard much about transmasculine people in the same regards being banned from women's spaces, right? First off, we always have to look at what transmasculinity means in a holistic sense, accounting for things like race, immigration status, class, age, and so on. So for example, I've navigated the world most of my life as a woman presenting, and I know what it is like to experience the workforce and relationships, etc. as a woman, right? While someone who has transitioned earlier in life doesn't know that. I am white and I've had access to education growing up, which puts me in a different category than a transmasculine person who has not had access to education, or someone who was homeless, or someone who was a sex worker, and so on. And these are important factors to help us understand that transmasculinity doesn't exist in isolation, but it's tied to different aspects of our lives, just like everything else, really, right? That being said, I struggle with the idea of women becoming afraid of me and banning me from feminist spaces because of the way that they read me, right? Because no matter how much we say we are fighting cisgenderness, the framework that we use to challenge it, it's still based on binaries, and it still abides to cisgender standards, really, in my view. So when we talk about male privilege, right, it's on cisgender standards, and I'm not really sure this is the best way to look at transmasculinity, right? So I keep imagining that it will feel pretty isolating, and I hope that I find a space where I'm welcomed, right? The other thing is there's also a sense of guilt for me, almost like a sense of betraying women by transitioning. And again, when I look at it, it comes from like almost like a cis standard, right? From cis lens. So the truth of the matter is that at the end of the day, I have to be myself, right? So because I'm non-binary, no matter what I do, people will always try to fit me in one of the two boxes, right? This is why transitioning for me is for myself and no one else, right? If I had to live the rest of my life in a room where nobody else would ever see me again, okay, guess what? I would like to have a flat chest. I would like my voice to be deeper. I would like to have broader structure and so on. Good news is that I can have all of that and I don't need to live in a box, right? Okay. So also the other thing is, like, no matter how much I think I'm the only person in the entire universe having really complicated and confusing feelings, I know I'm not alone. I know there's someone else out there who has thought these exact same things. So the questions I have is, what is it to be a man for you? And have you experienced similar feelings in relation to transmasculinity? And how do other portions of your identity, like race, class, immigration status, age, and so on, play into your transmasculinity? And that's it for today. See you in the next video.